Welcome to Beekeeping with Grant. I'm Grant Gillard. This is one of my apiaries set in my backyard. If you're like most beekeepers, as you get started keeping honeybees, one of the first questions you have to ask is, where can I keep my honeybees? I, like a lot of people, will choose your backyard. It's the most convenient place for me. Got all my stuff in the garage. It's just easy. But the backyard may not be the best place. And sometimes we need to shift from thinking about my needs to the needs of the honeybees. What makes for a good, successful apiary when it comes to the success of the bees? And obviously I'm looking to the success of the bees so I can have a successful honey crop. There's 5 characteristics. One is full sun. The second one is a diversity of forage. Then you need a water source. Then you also need a sheltered area. And then finally someplace that's insecticide and pesticide free. Not every backyard is insecticide free. If you have neighbors that dust their garden or spray chemicals on their lawns to get rid of weeds, there's a lot of factors. But let me take you out and show you some examples of what I mean by those 5 factors. The first one being full sun. Come with me now to one of my apiaries and we'll show you what it means to be in full sun. My first criteria for a good place for a beehive is to set the hives in full sun. If you can get sun the whole day long, that works better. Afternoon sun, maybe morning sun, sometimes that's what you have to choose. But full sun is ideal. Sometimes people say, well, isn't setting beehives in the sun too hot for the bees? No, the bees have ways of cooling the hive, but it is hot on beekeepers, especially if you're all suited up in one of those gowns and bee suits. But hives set in full sun have fewer varroa mites and they have fewer small hive beetles. So my first criteria is to set the hives in full sun. The second criteria is to move to a location that has a great diversity of flowers. We call it floral diversity. That's my second criteria. Well, after full sun, my next criteria for the perfect bee yard is to find a place with floral diversity. You can see my beehive stacked behind me. You can also see too that a lot of this weedy, overgrown stuff is full loaded with flowers during the summertime. It's what we call CRP ground, or Conservation Reserve Program. It's basically the program where farmers are paid not to farm and they let their land go idle. Usually this land is not mowed, which allows it to bloom, go to seed, bloom again, and there's a series of windows. This is what makes it such a perfect bee yard. Think of it as a series of windows of blooms. These flowers bloom, then these flowers bloom, then these flowers bloom, and it's all like a native prairie or native habitat. There's a lot of clovers in the summertime. In the fall there's a lot of goldenrod. In between there's all kinds of mixed flowers. The trees in the background also offer a lot of spring blooms, particularly the maples and the willows that bloom first. In terms of floral diversity, this is a great bee yard for that. So first of all, you want full sun. Second, we want floral diversity. My third criteria is to have a water source. Let me show you a bee yard with a little water source in it. Well, behind me is a stagnant pond. It's a catch basin for erosion control, and as we get these torrential rains and the water comes washing down, this little catch basin keeps the water from further eroding the hillside. It's just a stagnant pond, but it's a water source. And as a water source, bees need water in the summertime to cool the beehive. Bees prefer stagnant water, or if you've got a creek in your backyard, a very slow-moving creek, preferably with pebbles, so the bees can land, suck up the water, carry it back to the hive. If you've got bees in your backyard and you don't have a water source, it's very likely that the bees will start looking at the neighbor's dog watering dish. They might be looking at the neighbor's bird feeder, or they may be going to your neighbor's swimming pool. If that's the case, and you don't provide another source of water, then you're probably going to have some irate neighbors, and then you're going to have some problems. A good bee yard needs a water source. Now this water source is just over the trees from that bee yard we just looked at with the diversity of forage and the CRP ground. You can hear the roar of I-55 just over there, about 100 yards, the diversity of forage there. We look for a lot of combinations of factors in bee yards. We first look for full sun, then that diversity of forage. We need a water source. Let's move on now to my fourth criteria, and the fourth criteria is to have a sheltered area from prevailing winds. Well, this bee yard demonstrates my fourth criteria, that is a sheltered area. You can see behind me is I-55, the highway is elevated, the hillside drops down, and alongside that freeway is a little intermittent stream that provides water for my bees. The growth, the trees provides a windbreak, and it's not so much the wind that bothers the bees, it's the wind that'll topple over my beehives. Especially true in the springtime. We have these massive storm systems that come through. The thunderstorms, the rain, the wind blows my beehives over, then exposes the comb to rain and the bees drown. It's just not a good thing. So I'm always looking for bee yards that are sheltered like this. And of course this yard too also has that intermittent stream for water. It's got the diversity of forage that grows up along the ditch banks of I-55. And not only that, this bee yard also offers me my 5th criteria. And that is an area that is pesticide, insecticide, and herbicide free. This was an old pasture ground. They don't raise cattle here anymore, but they still cut it for hay. It's not sprayed, it's not fertilized with chemical fertilizers. It just grows up and they cut it for hay. In terms of bee yards, it's ideal. It also offers a diversity of forage, but most importantly for me, there's no sprays. But sometimes there are sprays that are called bee safe, that are safe for bees. I don't necessarily want that. I want an area that has no sprays whatsoever. And it's not so much the bees, I'm also concerned about the quality of my honey. So my 5th criteria, along with number 4, the sheltered area, is to find an area that is pesticide, insecticide, and herbicide free. And so my 5 criteria are, first of all, full sun. Secondly, to have a diversity of forage. Also to have a water source, but this 4th one, to have a sheltered area. And number 5, chemical free. Let's go back to my office. I've got another office. Well, thanks for coming out to my bee yard with me this afternoon. Really breezy out there, wasn't it? As we're looking for the ideal bee yard, I gave you 5 factors that I consider for the ideal bee yard. Not every yard's going to have the 5, but find the most of those as you can. And 2, if somebody else comes up to you, as they do for me, and says, would you like to put a beehive out on my farm, you know, to pollinate my garden and that kind of stuff. And sometimes people come to me and say, well, we got all these apple trees, and we'd love to have you come out. I'm sure the apple trees would be good for the bees. It's not that easy. And in my early days, I said, heck yeah, I'll be out there. Well, there's things to consider. Number 1 is how many hives can I bring out? What kind of forage do you have outside of your garden? What kind of access can I have? How far away is it? And of course, dealing with your family, the neighbors across the fence, there's a lot of factors to consider. There's also some factors you don't have to consider. I put together a little resource. It's called Beekeeping 101, Where Can I Keep My Bees? Backyards and Outyards. Deals with those 5 factors as well as 6 other criteria that I think you need to consider prior to putting your bees somewhere on somebody's farm. If you look at that URL, this is available on createspace.com. It's book number 404-4187. If you're looking for an electronic version of the same book, you can go to smashwords.com, and there's the URL for that. Or if you just go to www.grantgillard.weebly.com, you'll find my whole list of books I've got for sale, and a lot of them deal with beekeeping, and a few others deal with some other stuff. Anyhow, I wish you well, and I hope your success this year is really good. I'm looking forward to one myself. Thanks for joining me on Beekeeping with Grant. I'm Grant Gillard.